In this video lesson, we are going to look at graphical analysis on the determination of the mass of a meter rule using two known masses. Alright, and you could just read through the instruction that guides this experiment. After going through the instruction as it's going to be displayed on the screen, we'll go straight to see the table of readings obtained from this experiment and also respond to the questions, alright, following this experiment. So please watch on the screen as the instruction for this experiment displays. Good. So following this instruction, the experiment was carried out and a table of reading obtained for this experiment. Please, I would like you to still watch the screen as you see the table of value obtained. Now you would notice that we carried out the experiment for different values of V, V being a certain distance from the 0 centimeter mark of the meter rule to a certain point of that meter rule, okay? And of course we carried out the experiment for 10 centimeter, 15 centimeter, 20 centimeter, 25, 30 and 35 centimeter. These were the values of V. Alright, so balancing the meter rule and stuffs like that, we got corresponding values of U. In the instruction, we are to evaluate 1 over V and 1 over U. So you can see clearly the table of value displayed on the screen that corresponding to the given values of V. After evaluating 1 over V, we had values of U and also we evaluated 1 over U. You could see the values there. For example, when V was 10 centimeter, U was 48.20 centimeter. And just take a look, when V was 20 centimeter, the value obtained for U was 51.10 centimeter. What about the last value of V, which was 35 centimeter? The corresponding value of U obtained, after balancing the meter rule on the knife edge was 55.10. Alright, with the values of U obtained, we evaluated 1 over U, just the inverse of the values we got. And those are the values you're seeing displayed on the screen in the table of reading. And not to forget the center of gravity, very important to always obtain that as you carry out the experiment. And of course, from the experiment, I got the center of gravity to be 49.00 centimeter. Alright. Now, after carrying out this experiment and after having obtained the table table of value, we are required to plot a graph of 1 over v against 1 over u. To plot this graph, of course, you know the first thing one has to do is to select a convenient scale for the values that one obtained or generated from the experiment. And of course, as required, we are plotting 1 over v against 1 over u. So simply 1 over v would be the vertical axis and 1 over u will be the what? Horizontal axis. You can see that displaying on the screen. Now, you notice there is something that I did on the graph from the origin, you know, along the horizontal. You notice that I did something, okay, a purple line from the origin, giving us something like a zigzag. Are you getting me right? Up to the point where we have the unit 0.018. What is the essence, the reason for that zigzag marking? It simply means that I stretched the horizontal axis of that graph. Now, why do we actually stretch a graph or stretch the axis of a particular graph? This might become important to do. Are you following, right? Some examiner may require it when the values you are plotting are very close together. And you can confirm that from our 1 over u column. 1 over u column in our table of value, please take note of the table of value once again. It's displaying on the screen. You observe that in that 1 over u column, you have values like 0.0207, after that 0.0202. If you find the difference between these two values is 0.0005. Very small. If you move on from 0.0202, the next value you are going to see as displayed on the screen in that 1 over u column is 0.0196. Try to take a difference between 0.0202 and 0.0196. You will notice again that the value, they are very close. So this type of values, when you encounter them, when the values are so close together, it might be advisable that you stretch your graph. In that way, if you plot it on your graph, the point on the graph will not be too close together. So looking at the graph, that purple zigzag line from the origin was done in an attempt to stretch my graph so that my point will be well spread. Is that okay? And then how do you actually come about this stretching of graph? What do you do? I'm going to quickly highlight on that and then we move on, okay? Now the first thing you have to do is to find the difference between the values in the column that you are plotting where these values are very close together. Like our 1 over u column, you notice that the values we obtained there, they are very close, like I said. Now, if you find the difference between any two close values there, like I used that of 0.0207 and 0.0202, notice that the difference is just 0.0005. That will now help us to know the unit to select. That will help us to know the unit to what? Select. If I want to stretch my graph so that at least the point will be well spread. So what do we do? That's 0.0005, which is the difference, at least more of the difference that I observed in that 1 over u column. I decided to approximate it to 0.0006. I always advise, once you find that closest difference between any two values, are you getting me right? Increase the last digit by 1. It's for you to be safe when you are plotting your what? Graph. Just to be on the safe side. So in working on this graph, I actually use that the closest distance between any two value in that 1 over u axis is 0.0006. And then with that, I now selected my scale. It means that on my 1 over u axis, the horizontal, I'm using 1 centimeter to represent 0.0006 units. Okay? Now, since I have already stretched the graph, you notice, as shown in the graph, that my first unit in that horizontal axis, in that 1 over u axis, is 0.018. I actually use 1 centimeter as you're seeing, alright, in the graph on the screen. I used 1 centimeter to represent a particular unit. But if you look at my first unit on that horizontal axis, on that 1 over u axis, is 0.018. And this is because I noticed that from the table of value, the smallest value there is 0.0181. In that 1 over u column from the table, the smallest value is 0.0181. So I just simply decided, okay, after stretching the graph, let my first thick line take the value, the unit 0.018. It's always good to select a unit very close to the smallest value in that column that has very close values that you are plotting. My own, the smallest value, as you saw displayed on the screen earlier, in the column of 1 over u, the smallest value was 0.0181. So I decided that, okay, having stretched my 1 over u axis, my first unit is 0.018. Now take note that after that 0.018 visible unit you are seeing, the next unit, as you're seeing in the graph on the screen, is 0.0186. After that 0.0186, notice that the next value was 0.0192. You see clearly that if you take the difference between any two of those units, you are going to get 0.0006. Which simply means that the unit I selected for 1 centimeter on the horizontal axis there is that every 1 centimeter will be equal to 0.0006 units. Now, in the idea of stretching this graph, I want to say this quickly. If you pick your calculator, and I'd like you to follow through now, press 0.018 and then divide it by 0.0006. You would notice that you're going to get 30. Once again, 0.018, which was the first visible unit you are seeing in the horizontal axis, divided by 0.0006. You will be getting the value of 30. And what is the implication of that 30 that you got? So it simply means that before my first visible unit of 0.018, there are actually 30 lines. 30 lines. Out of the 30 lines, 29 was stretched, so you are not seeing it in the graph. The 30th line is the one that we gave 0.018. The 30th line has 0.018 unit assigned to it, which simply means that it's much like that graph. If you count the vertical lines from that 0.018, remember the 0.018 is the 30th line. If we count it from that 30, going to that unit that I wrote 0.0210, you will notice that you have the following number of lines. Remember the 0.018 is line number 30, so we move on. 31 for 0.0186, 32 for 0.0192, we move on 33, 34, and then 35 for 0.0210. So actually, we are saying that, okay, we have the highest value in our table, in our column 1 over u to be 0.207, 0.0207. Then we divided it by 35. If we divide it, you're going to get 0.0006 approximately. So in essence, for my unit, 1 centimeter represents 0.0006 units. Although you're not seeing that 0.0006 unit, the truth of the matter is for you to know that that is the unit that is used. Take a difference between 0.0186 and 0.018. You would notice that the difference is 0.0006, which was the actual unit representing every 1 centimeter on the horizontal axis. So like I said, this is done whenever your points, your values are very close together. So it is advisable you stretch your graph so that the points will be well spread. Otherwise, when you are plotting, it's possible that all the points will just enter one small space. Are you following, right? And it's not usually ideal. So, in summary, for this part of stretching of graph, it is usually advised that you stretch your graph when the values you are plotting are very close together. And how do you select your units? Simply find the difference between any two close values in that reading, that column where you notice that the values are very close together. In our own case here, it happened in that column of 1 over u. The values are very close. So pick any two close readings there, do subtraction. Whatever you get will now give you the idea of the units to use. Then how do you now translate it to your graph? You go to your graph. First of all, look at the column. Like in our own case, the congested column, the column that had values very close together is 1 over u. Go to that column, check the smallest value there. In our own case, the smallest value was 0.0181. 0.018 what? 1. So you can use that to decide what your first unit will be. You use that to decide what your first unit will be. Alright guys, this part 1 of this practical session has been fully dedicated to graph stretching procedure, so as to help you know how to handle readings, values that are very close together. You could see the kind of values that we had in 1 over u column, and I am confident that based on these explanations I gave so far in this video lesson, by watching the video lesson again and again, you would get yourself acquainted with the principles of graph stretching, so that whenever it becomes necessary, you do that to make sure that your points are well spread. In part 2 of this practical session, I will be teaching you how to obtain your slope, your vertical scatter and range for evaluating error in slope. I will also be teaching you how to calculate error in any other given quantity. Please guys, bear with me that I am unable to conclude the whole session of this practical in this particular video. Be assured that the remaining part 2 will soon be released. And so I want to make use of this medium to apologize to all of you. Alright, sometimes we face situation that is beyond our control. Okay, I really have been very, very sick, and that is why I have been unable to upload new content, after the last one I uploaded on friction 1 month ago. I've really been battling, taking up the challenge to see that I get better. And of course, I've been doing all I can medically and prayerfully to get back fully fit. I thank God, my helper Jehovah, for his unfailing support, and I can really say that I am getting stronger, greatly improving, okay? So I want to really assure you, friends, of the GMAETS 41's commitment. I'm going nowhere, and I want to be confident that you guys too will go nowhere. All right, thanks to all of you new subscribers. Honestly, I am overwhelmed. Even the fact that I've not posted new content, there have been, daily subscribers, and please, you can be assured that I am committed to giving you the very best. Are you following right? As I'm getting better, you can be assured of one thing, that soon I will flood my channel, the GMAETS 41's YouTube channel, with all the more quality educational content as you may need. All right? Be certain of that. Okay, please like and share this video. Very important, because this issue of graph stretching is something that a student will need a lot. I've actually created video lessons previously on graphical works, how to select your scale, or how to trace your point and stuffs like that. Added to this particular one, it's going to be a boom, okay? So please help me and share this video, let it go viral. And if you have not yet subscribed, please kindly hit the subscription button to support the GMAETS 41's academic, move. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Just make sure you stay tuned, and we're going to conquer. Take care of yourself. Do have fun with your studies. Bye for now.